Hello Anashe, and welcome to another installment of Let's Read Ancient Spells. This spell that I'm gonna read today is called A Charm to Steal Your Lover's Heart by Burning of Dragon's Blood. And it comes from this lovely book just published by Troy Books. It's called Spells from the Wise Woman's Cottage by Steve Patterson. And Steve Patterson is a folklorist. And this was done, obviously, with the aid of the Cornwall Museum of Witchcraft. The spell that I'm going to read today is from the 18th century. Let me read it to you, and then we will read the explanation for it, and we will discuss it shortly. So, A Charm to Steal Your Lover's Heart by Burning of Dragon's Blood. Buy 3 penny worth of dragon's blood from the apothecary. Take no food or drink all day, and then at midnight take the dragon's blood wrapped in white paper and burn it, keeping the name of your lover in mind. Then speak this charm. Dragon's blood, 'tis not your blood I wish to burn, but my true love's heart I wish to turn. May he never sleep, rest, no happy be, until he comes and send to me. Now, regard to this charm, it says this is from a specific source F. I can read about it. In the Cornish version of this herbal charm, source H, other variations of this charm appear around Britain. And this version is from East Cornwall, employing the use of dragon's blood made from the resins of the dragon tree, which is native to the Canary Islands. This was possibly imported to Cornwall in the 18th century by the Enys family. Enys is Enys. Mr. Painter, the collector of this charm, had a small business in selling this as the charm to would-be lovers. Now, let's discuss the charm a little bit. This charm really has very interesting characteristics. First of all, it has a lot of elements that we would recognize today. The 18th century was, depends when, is the beginning of, it was just before the Victorian era, meaning it's like we are just passing from this, very scholarly sort of modernity, trying to keep up with the pace of time, and in 100 years or so, in the 19th century, we're going to have the Industrial Revolution. But this is like the source. It's like people believe in education. People are like, we would recognize them as today. And I think that weakens, and I think modern spellcasters would recognize this charm. It wouldn't seem like a weird, out of place thing. But we are talking about a very exotic ingredient for the 18th century. It's exotic ingredient today. It's not easy to get dragon's blood anywhere. And dragon's blood is a very powerful ingredient in Hoodoo. It's used mostly for protection. Sometimes it's used to call up visions, but it's rarely used for love today. It's like in the folklore, but it's not like the main use of this charm. Let me take a sip from my Cola Zero. Now, this is a lover's charm, and it's expensive. 3 pennies that time. It wasn't that cheap. It was an investment to use that, so it wasn't something so available. And also, dragon's blood is an amazing, powerful antiseptic. It's used to be, tinctures, ointments. Hello, Tsemer. That's my little cat there that you just saw her tail of. It's used to cauterize wounds. It uses an incense to purify the air, and just burning it outside is like, is a complete waste. There is an authority element here. So it's a very vital thing. You have to go out. Now, let's see it again. Buy 3 penny worths of dragon's blood. Why 3 penny worth? Because 3 is a very important number. It's like, the immersion, the tool that is used for the spell, and the target that you cast the spell on. There are a lot of threefold spells going on at that time, and other ancient spells in Europe. It's a very European number. And also there is a thing here that allows you to change your consciousness. Take no food or drink all day. Meaning like for at least 12 hours you will have no food or drink. Or maybe more, maybe it's even 24 hours. It depends what they call all day. Maybe day is like the sometime. But anyway, before the time of meditation, scourging, cutting, and abstinence of food were the main thing of the day. To, you would avoid those things in order you could change your consciousness. And you get to midnight, which is a liminal time. And in that liminal time, you cast the spell. You cast the spell the in-between. You give the incense as an offering, and you ask for something in return. So you put it in paper and you burn the paper, keeping the name of your lover in your mind. Then speak this charm. Dragon's blood, dragon's blood. There is an invocation when there is a repentance. You call the power of the dragon's blood. You recognize that this substance is sacred. It has the magical ability to cure. Goodbye, Selma, she just left. It can cure, but it can also cure your own heart pain. But it can also stir, because it's very fiery, it's very red. This is not your blood I wish to burn. I don't want to offend the tree that this is coming from, or the spirit that control this. But I wish to my true love's heart to turn. May he never sleep, rest, no happy be. Meaning it's like another threefold. No sleep, no rest, no happy. And this is also like, you see that in ancient Greek love spells, like, and curses that you see in like in tablets and, from magical papyri. Meaning someone who conducted this, that wrote this spell, actually knew some Greek and Latin. Meaning that could possibly be, a very educated, probably man. Until he comes, send to me. It's like, and then you activate this power to send it to you. And it's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing. And let's see the source. It's very difficult to find the source. But anyway, it was collected. It was from the 18th century. Okay? And there is a bibliography here, but they are marking the sources with letter. This is source H. Anyway, if you really want to learn about old British magics and spells, get this. You can also get it softcover. It wouldn't be that expensive, but admit it, isn't it like the most pretty thing you ever saw? Wouldn't it be like the perfect book to find in like this old luggage? Now, in comparison, I would like to read from Hoodoo, from this book, Hoodoo, Herb and Root Magic, the Usages of Dragon's Blood. So again, it has like in conclusion, you change your consciousness, you burn the thing during a time that is liminal time, meaning after midnight, at midnight, and you use the threefold charm. So it has like both a vocal, verbal element and a herbal element. So it's a very complete spell, in my opinion. So you would talk about today that witchcraft has a resurrection, but this is from the 18th century. So you can see quite well how powerful and how complete the spell was back then, and you would think that this would be a thing. Now, the dragon's blood, he gets like a whole page, and it's not a small page, honestly. And some of the workings that could be done with it is this. You can make emoji hands for love and money. Emoji hands is obviously gree, those are talismans. You can make a home cleansing incense, because again, it's a purifier, because it can take care of a wound. You can use it for love. Powder is used by women who wish to receive an offer of marriage. They write the novel names on a small square of brown paper, cross it with their own name, fold dragon's blood powder in the paper, and throw the packet into glowing charcoal along love me incense, and saying this prayer and their prayers. it's very similar, and you can see that. And hoodoo was like, something that was constituted in the Americas, and this was something that was like, a few hundred years older than what we would call modern hoodoo. And yes, there is, the Appalachian, which is nowadays claimed that a lot of hoodoo came from Cornwall originally. And it's interesting if you can trace this spell to that spell over here. It's very interesting. To strengthen weak love, steep dragon's blood powder, rosebuds, lavender flowers in a glass in cold water for 3 days, strain it and add to your bath, and bathe with your lover. If that cannot be done, bathe along with this liquid in your bath. Then wash your underpants, your underwear, socks along with your lover's underwear and socks, and add some of your used bath water to your rinse cycle. Okay, so again, it's used to put your energy into your lovers, etc., etc., etc. There is so much about this, and it's very interesting. Like, if someone could stop and just start to see the history of such spells and how we got there and where they came off, because this is a modern spell book, and this is a book that has ancient spells. This is not an ancient spell book. And you see that there are many things that are a direct link to the past. And I think that this is our job for witches, to know what things that we have and use are coming from the past and what things are modern. Well, anyway, I hope this was interesting. Goodbye, Nashe.